Okay, welcome back to this next video. What we're going to do is we're going to take the program you just made and we're going to make it better. We're going to do the same thing, but we're going to do it in a kind of work smarter, not harder. So we're going to use a loop, and a loop is a basic concept in every single programming language that's ever been. Every programming language uses loops to repeat things. So we're going to use that in our programming language here. So we're going to go back to your square. And we're going to use a loop, and a loop is just a way for you to repeat your code. And you may be thinking, why do I want to repeat my code? Well, if you take a look at my square program here, you'll notice there's some repetition. Think about this pattern: roll, delay, roll, delay, roll, delay, roll, delay. So you'll notice there is some repetition. So here's what I'm going to do. I want to be lazy, and I want to, instead of having to write this code 4 times, I just want to repeat it four times. So notice how many times it repeats. Roll, delay once, roll, delay twice, roll, delay 3 times, roll, delay 4 times. So now, take a look before we start destroying this program. First of all, take a screenshot of it so that you can turn that in. Make sure you've turned in your screenshot of this program so I know you've done it. You'll notice that like the speed is the same, the time is the same, the time of the delay is the same. The only thing that changes from time to time is this direction. And notice 0 to 90, 90 to 180, 180 to 270. There's a math pattern there. Math is everywhere. You can't escape it. Now, here's what we want to do. We want to basically tear this apart. We want to leave one of these roll delay patterns, and the rest we're going to literally drag up to the trash. So we're going to tear apart your program. Don't be sad. Whoops. You want to leave one roll delay pattern, delete it, take everything else to the trash. I missed the trash. Roll. So you're going to leave one roll delay, delete it. I missed the trash again. We're going to leave one roll delay. I'm really bad at deleting things. Hopefully you're better at it. Make sure you get your mouse all the way up there into the trash. Lesson learned. Leave yourself one roll and one delay. So pause me if you need to catch up with that. Now, that roll delay, we loved it so much that we wanted it to happen 4 times. So if you'd known this up front, you could have saved so much time. You could have dragged 2 of these blocks out here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go make the code repeat itself. So if you go down here to the bottom, you're going to be looking for the control block. So you get movement, lights and sounds, controls. And there you're going to have this thing called a loop. If I drag this out, I'm going to put him right here. Now you'll notice this loop looks a little different because he kind of looks like kind of a shark's mouth. Like there's his nose, there's his eyes, he's got some teeth, bottom jaw, right? Because anything you put in that shark's mouth gets repeated over and over and over again. So I'm going to take this roll, I'm going to put it in the shark's mouth. Now it's a little weird. You got to kind of get the bottom of it up above his bottom jaw to get him in there. I'm going to take this delay block, and I want him to be not after the loop. I want him to be inside that shark's mouth. So basically, roll and delay will get repeated 0 times, which is nothing. That's kind of lame. But these 2 things are going to, in the shark's mouth, everything in here gets repeated. So what I want you to do is on your shark's mouth, hit that 0, and think about this. How many times did we want to repeat that to make a square? Now, if you ran this at this moment, he would just roll forward 4 times, because 0 degrees means rolling forward. What we want is this is the thing that we want to actually change. And what we did, if you notice that math pattern, it went 0 to 90 to 180 to 270. We wanted it to change by 200 or by 90 degrees each time. So here's what we're going to do: a little math. Are you ready? Right there where that 0 is, what we want is we're going to go down here to the bottom, switch over to your Operators tab, and I'm going to grab plus. I'm going to go drag that plus, make sure you get them onto the 0 degrees. I want to leave everything else alone there. 0 plus 0 would be 0. That really does nothing. So what I want is, here's Operators down at the bottom, skip over Comparators, go to Sensors. When you look at your sensors, you can have the robot ask himself, what direction is he heading? I'm going to take this heading and I'm going to drag it onto one of those zeros. So it's going to be something I do math with. So roll and then say, hey robot, ask yourself which direction you're heading, and don't add 0 to it. You want to add 90 degrees to it. So roll whatever direction you were rolling, but add 90 to that, and then roll. And this repeats 4 times. So you'll come back around and say, okay, now robot, ask yourself what direction you were rolling before, add 90 to it again, and so it will keep doing its thing. Now what I want you to do, look how cool that is. That robot's talking to himself, doing some math. It's beautiful. What we want to do is, before you get started trying to run that program, you want to make sure, sorry, I can't actually aim on my computer right now because I don't have a robot connected, but you do. So click your aim and make sure you've got good aim before you run that program. And what I want you to do is go ahead and pause me, aim your robot, give that thing a run, see if it makes a square, and see if there's anything different about this square than the other one. So give it a try. Okay, welcome back. You ran your program, you love it. We're going to add some lights and sounds in a second. You may have noticed that this square didn't take off rolling away from you. He took off rolling to the right. So I'm going to draw you a little picture. If you put your robot down and said face that way, well, here's your square, and you said that you want him to face this way, the really strange thing is he didn't actually take off that way. When he started his program, he went this way first, then this way, then this way, then this way. So the square you got was kind of in a different direction than the one before, and that's okay. If you don't, that's because the very first thing he did is he took 0 plus 90, which was 90, and he took off in direction 90 from the get-go. Right? So we kind of messed him up just a little bit because he started off by adding 90 to his 0 direction. So that's all right. What we could do is, if that bothers you, I could go to my movement block down here at the very bottom left. I could take the heading. Now watch this. I'm going to put this at the very start of the program. He is not in the shark's mouth because I don't want this to happen over and over and over again. I want it to happen one time before you take off. And this is a little weird. I'm going to say before you take off doing your business, I'm going to have you face to the left. So he faces to the left one time, comes into the loop. 270 plus 90 is 360, which is the same thing as 0. And that way he'll go forward, direction 0 the first time, and then go about his business 4 times. So the really cool thing is this thing right here happens one time, and then this here goes, like literally it's a loop because it happens 4 times and then it's done. Is that crazy? So they call it a loop because if you're tracing it with your finger, you literally just kind of run around in circles however many times you want. Now, spice this up a little bit. You could say this doesn't have to be 4. If you did a multiple of 4, like if you did 8 times, that would have you make 2 squares. Right? So if you wanted to play around with this number and see how many squares you can get or get a little complicated, you could try that out. But congratulations, you just made your second program. Make sure you turn that in, and we'll come back and we'll do a little extra to make it prettier in the next video.